Hello, and welcome back to Perfectly Paranormal, episode 99. My name's Annaschmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. And today you're going to hear a very relevant, in-the-moment exploration of religion and the devil. Is there a connection? And if so, what is it? And I have a question for you. This question comes from Kim, who asked if organised religion was created by the devil. Now, I've never thought of it that way. And I thought, what a fascinating question. So why not do a whole episode unpacking the devil and religion? So let's get into it. Now, many religions have quite a strong hold on people, their minds, their thoughts, their actions, their behaviours, in lots of different ways. And today we're going to be focusing on the fear of the devil, hell, and the religious connection, and how this affects people in so many different ways. And I have two real-life examples for you, sharing their perspectives on their religious backgrounds and how the influence or how they were told about the devil, how it affected their thought patterns and their behaviours. And there's no judgment today. There's no judgment at all of any specific religions. More so, this is an overview of the concept of religion and how it affects people's perceptions of the paranormal. And this is on all different levels. So the first experience that I'd like to share with you today, we're going to backtrack a couple of episodes. In episode 96 of this podcast, I spoke with Marie. Now, Marie was a house healing client, and during her interview, she talks about the before and after effects and improvements of having their home energetically cleansed. Religion over the centuries has preyed on people's vulnerabilities. And Marie shared with me before we did a house clearing interview, or before I even did the house clearing for her, that she did have some reservations about the paranormal entities that are possibly present in her home. The whole family had been experiencing some really strange occurrences, and they just couldn't rationally put their finger on what it was until her sister went there one day. And her sister is very sensitive to paranormal beings, especially the lower vibrational ones. And she said out loud, "I think you got demons in your cupboard." And this sort of made Marie feel a little bit uncomfortable. She didn't know where to go with this, and she was a little bit frightened of what was present in her home. Now, this fear had been drummed into her at church from as young as maybe 5 and 6 years old. She had been deeply affected right through until she became an adult of what the paranormal is, why it's here, all that fire and brimstone talk from the pulpit that gives the mass population a really negative, fearful impression of the lower vibrational realm, of the devil, of dark and demonic beings. Now, Marie and I had quite a few conversations about this topic, and she's found my rather candid explanations, the way I explain it, the way I make it real, relevant, relatable, and not fear-based. Why these beings are here. She found it so comforting, and it has really helped to alleviate her fears. And another friend shared with me once that she was so scared as a child of going to hell that she hardly slept. She spent all night and all day worrying about her behaviours and how she acted and how she reacted. And oh my goodness, what I just said, is that going to send me to hell? Now that's a really hard way for a child to grow up, and very, very traumatising. The generational religious beliefs of her family and what they followed really did traumatise her for all of her childhood and some of her early adult life, thinking about if she was bad in the eyes of their religion and God and the church, that she would be separated from her family in the afterlife and possibly burn in hell for all of eternity. And again, people meet me and then they understand the paranormal beings on another level, and it really just does open their eyes. This lady's fear of the devil dissipated when she met me. We simply met at a local market and our friendship grew from there. And we often talk about the paranormal. We still do. Phone calls, text messages, Facebook messages, things that are going on in our environment. Now, instead of her finding it fearful, she finds it fascinating. And she's really relaxed in the way that she thinks about these beings. She understands why they're here. And she is the person that identified the low vibrational demonic type entity in Marie's cupboard. So it's kind of fascinating how people come to me and their stories unfold, and I'm then able to share them with you. That if you feel there is something in your house, not to be frightened of it, observe it. I always say to people, observe, document what's going on, find yourself an energy clearer and go from there. Now, before we look at Kim's question, I want to share with you a little strange, odd experience that I will never, ever forget, that I talked about back in episode 6. Now, I was slapped in the face, no, not literally, but with religious prejudice, being accused of bringing Satan, the darkness, and entities into a religious lady's home. You know, I simply visited. She asked me to visit. I went there one afternoon for an innocent catch-up, a cup of tea and a chat. Now, this lady was deeply religious, and I don't judge people. She just had very narrow beliefs, I will say. She had a very narrow way of thinking about the lower vibrational beings. And that night, I was quite shocked to get a message through a social media platform. She sent many, many messages. They were rather manic, and the more she wrote, the more manic they got. She was accusing me of bringing entities into her home and that I was worshipping the devil through my house clearing work. She was so brainwashed by religion that she wouldn't even listen to any type of explanation about these negative energy in her home. Now, I did not take entities to her home. I do paranormal work every day. And if I'm going to visit someone, I will check myself. I will do a clearing. I will check that there's nothing around me that I'm going to possibly be taking into people's homes. I will say that I'm a spirit magnet, or the paranormal Pied Piper, I call myself sometimes. I could tell you some funny stories about spirits, but not today. But this lady was so totally left of centre. I was really thrown back by it. Nothing surprises me. I'm really quite open to everything that's going on around us. But this really, really shook me up quite a bit. I had no words. And as you'll know, I'm never without words. But anyway, I will say one funny thing is that I felt that the entities that were in the home were connected to her husband. Now, I couldn't tell her that. She wouldn't believe me anyway, but I knew when I met him the first time. And I'm not judging. He had some trauma attached to him that these beings were feeding off. It's basically what they do, as you'll know if you listen to this podcast often enough. But you know, I would have been blasphemy if I had said that, so I just let it go. Let it go. This lady was unchangeable in her thoughts, and I didn't want to upset her. I didn't want to aggravate the situation anymore. So we are simply now not friends anymore. Now let's look at Kim's question. Kim asked if organised religion was created by the devil. Well, I have to say I sat with this for a while. I really did have to think about it. And I kind of give it two answers. I give it yes and no. But not in the way that you think. The devil is not technically a person. It can be a concept. It can be the way we treat each other, devilish type behaviours. So organised religion, I technically don't think was created by the devil. Organised religion was created by people, more so the devil in human form. Because as you know, we all have the capacity for good and evil, right and wrong. We all make choices. So we're not talking about the horned devil that we all instantly think of. All this fire and brimstone talk from some religions does really create mass fear, anxiety, paranoia, and a plethora of other emotional vibrations, which are a great energetic food source for lower vibrational beings. Religion uses the devil and the thought of going to hell for your bad sins, your bad deeds. The church uses that to control people. Religion is used to control people. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Now, for myself personally, I was brought up in a rather relaxed religious home. I was brought up in a Catholic home. We did go to church and I was baptised and I went through my confirmation and all the different things you do with the Catholic religion. But I don't adhere to that anymore. It's just not part of my religious beliefs. It's not part of my beliefs at all. I have more a spiritual open outlook, I like to call it. I believe in all different aspects. I understand some people need the guidance that comes with religion, but it can be used or misused by evil perpetrators. Now, these are human perpetrators. Religion, priests, pastors, churches, the whole shebang has not been created by the devil, but he does benefit from the corruption and the ego and the greed. Well, the 7 deadly sins, really. And this is not just in Christian theology. The pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth are rife through society. And the religions and the churches are not immune. You know, there's dozens of examples out there of all the 7 sins that are being carried out day in, day out by people. And people use religion as the justifier to varying degrees. Now, there would be a lot of instances where religion has been misused and misinterpreted over the centuries, causing mass human suffering. But this is the fault of people. And the people are using religion as an excuse for their behaviours. So organised religion was not created by the devil. But there is a devil in all of us, and it's all about how we choose to live our lives. All about choice and opportunity, and what we want from life. So that's all I'm going to say on that topic. But before we go, it's not all doom and gloom when it comes to religion. Religion does create opportunities for people to connect. They like the connection, they like the groups, they like getting together, the singing, the religious texts. It just gives them something to follow. It gives them a path, but it's not the only path. You take from it what you feel is right for you. And quite often people grow spiritually from religious beliefs. And a lot of religions and a lot of churches provide care and support through charitable work. So I'm not giving religion the downer. I'm just saying that we need to observe. We need to think about our thoughts, our words, our actions, our reactions every day, and also in church, and also when it comes to our religious beliefs. If you like the content of this episode today, please think about leaving me a rating and a review. What reviews do is they let other people know your thoughts about my supernatural subject matter. People love reading reviews, and we're spreading the word about the real paranormal world around us. I would really appreciate it. So in episode 100, I have a special episode for you to mark hitting triple figures with this podcast. And I have to say, I thank you from the very bottom of my paranormal heart for all of your listening and supporting my quest to educate the public about the paranormal world around us. And in episode 100, you get a first-hand understanding of what it's like living with magic interference to the max. Now, what I'm sharing is coming from my experiences, but also Louie and Laura's experiences. They're going to tell you themselves what it's like having to deal with sorcery and magic on a daily basis. And oh my gosh, it has been a massive learning curve. And I might say a bit challenging at times, but I'm still here going strong with new skills and helping clients with energetic problems of a different kind. So stay tuned for next week's episode, and I look forward to sharing dark magical experiences, signs and symptoms of sorcery and magic presence that I'm sure will shock and fascinate you all at the same time. And if you like this episode, you want to learn more about the paranormal, I'm always sharing new information that nobody else does. Please hit the subscribe button, send me a comment, send me one of your stories. So thank you for joining me today, and don't forget, if you want to share a paranormal experience just with myself, or you would like me to share one of your experiences through my podcast, you can do a voice recording, or you can write out your experience and I will read it exactly as you have written. You can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website, Spiritual Being. You will find the address in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.